In my gut, I knew that this is what I was going to do. Randomly sent an email to Rahman sir, never really expecting a response. It was just a late night. Called me to record my first song for Maniratnam sir. It was that kind of unique blend. So this is going to be, I think, just like the best version of myself.
You're a diaspora kid, and you had a phenomenal debut with A R Rahman. Did you always decide, or did the family always think that you do the music?
Yeah, I think at least subconsciously, I started singing when I was 3, and that was also when I first performed on stage, and I fell in love with it immediately. So I think it was the first and only thing that really, really made sense to me. And through the years of growing up, in my gut, I knew that this is what I was going to do. And then when I was in 10th grade, I want to say, I discovered Berklee College of Music in Boston, and that's when I understood that there was a legitimate path to make it a career. And once I discovered that, then it was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for sure.
How did the first break come about?
2010, I was in college in Boston, and I very kind of randomly sent an email to Rahman sir, never really expecting a response. It was just a late night, and let's see what happens. And 10 days later, maybe, he actually responded. And I was releasing my own original music and covers and such like that on YouTube at the time. So I'd sent him some of that. He responded very positively. And then fast forward 2 years after that, he called me to record my first song for Maniratnam sir's movie Kadal. The song was Adiye. And even that, I recorded that when I was still in college. I was in Boston in the studios and in college, and AR sir was in Bombay. So it was a Skype recording. I thought it was an audition, but it turned out that that was the final recording. And
wow.
Song came out later, like about 9-10 months after that, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and your life changed completely after that. That sounds incredible. What do you think, what would you attribute him actually checking your mail out? Did you also send some singing samples and all?
Yeah, so I'd sent like 2 YouTube videos of things I'd put out, and then 1 unreleased, just like MP3 that I had that I'd been working on. What it was I kind of, what he saw in me was this very rare combination of being immersed in both Carnatic music and R&B soul. That was something that was just super unique for him. I remember the first time I went to meet him, he asked me to sing a little bit of a Carnatic piece and then a little bit of a original, like more R&B soul song. And he reveled in the fact that I could do both without really kind of compromising the aesthetic and the grounding of either form. And that's why it really makes sense that the first song that he gave me was this like blues number in Tamil that, again, no one had ever heard anything like that up until that point. So it was that kind of unique blend, I think, vocal texture. That's something that since the beginning of his career, he's been an absolute genius in identifying the voices that he knows are going to work. At the same time I debuted, I think Shakti Sri Gopal also debuted that same year, and couple other people within that span of 1 or 2 years. So it felt like a real renaissance in that time, like for cinema music in India. So that's what he identified, and as he prophesied, then, things have really gone quite well.
Okay. So you're the first person I'm meeting who's actually worked with the legend A R Rahman. Just tell us a bit about how is he as a person?
Like sometimes they say don't meet your heroes because they might not live up to the expectation, or how do you view that? He shattered that cliche for me completely. Fair. He is as gracious, as humble, as grounded, as inspired and inspired you as everyone says he is, and then some. I remember like before Adi had come out, he called me to LA to work on some stuff with him then, and this was again 2011 at some point in time, or maybe early 2012. And we went out to dinner, me, himself, and his engineer. And a fan saw him, and it was a pretty empty restaurant, but there was like 3 other people there. A fan saw him and came in asking questions, which to me felt like they were like kind of irritated kind of questions, where he was just a very curious man.
Yeah.
And then after that, on the car ride back, I asked AR, so I asked him, does that ever get annoying? And he said, no, because you don't know what you can learn from someone, and I think that encapsulates the greatness of the man. And he is ever curious at all times, always searching for inspiration and greatness around the world. It was such a humbling experience for me, where my career hadn't even started yet. And as is true with any youngster, I'm sure there's a little bit of arrogance in my being. And then seeing the way he gave this man his time. And that man actually, I remember now as I'm telling you, he asked to read a poem that he had written. And that's where I was like, oh man, like, and I sort of appreciated it. And it was just, so I think that is a moment that really beautifully describes who he is.
Yeah. Last question about your concert in Singapore. Singapore Indian Tamil diaspora is very powerful, very innovative, love their music and all that. Any special preparation you put for them when you perform in Singapore?
It's been a while since I've done a set. This last couple of years or a year and a half has been really me delving into putting out my original album in English and traveling the world and touring that. It's been a while since I've done a show of my film songs, so I can't wait just to get back to that. It's a different kind of energy, and we perform for 3 hours straight, the same band. It's like 6 to 7 of us. And the last time I performed in Singapore was either last year, I want to say 2 years. I have evolved as a human being, as an artist since then. My vision of what I want to present has evolved. So this is going to be, I think, just like the best version of myself that I'm going to give Singapore. I can't wait. Like I said, 2016, I performed here in Singapore. Then at the Esplanade, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, and then 2 years ago, I came back. So I feel like this city has really seen me at every stage of my evolution, and this latest stage is the one that I'm most proud of, and that I'm most excited about, and it makes the most sense that I'm sharing it with a city and the people that really feel like.
Thank you very much for talking to us. Wish you all the best for the conference and a great career.
Thank you.